Welcome in to a lovers edition of the Best Bets show, all made possible by BetRivers, our fine sponsor on the Field of 68 platform. Matthew Cox, running host, the fly fisherman down here in Naples, Jimmy Root, Kai McKeon joining me, flanking me on the wing. That was a lot to get to today. Decent slate here. A good amalgamation of Big 10, Big 12, Big East battles. We'll get to all of it, including your questions in the chat mob at part one intermission at the end of the show. But first, typically we learn things as we watch our fine sport of college basketball. We're learning more and more as the season grows older by the day, Mr. McKeon. So what did you tell us about your copious note-taking last night as you astutely watched the world of college basketball?
Baylor, legit. Watch out, folks, for Baylor on the 1 seed hunt right now. The Baylor Bears are in play for the coveted spot in the NCAA tournament. 22-1, folks, in the markets right now. Just saying, pretty darn good value. Their price is like the 20th, 15th, something around their team. Boy, I think they have a lot better shot with that, with JTT back in the lineup. Also, Texas Tech, pretty impressive, man. Davion Harmon just carries that team. He's been super impressive in the backcourt. They can conceivably make the dance still. If they go 4-1 the rest of the way, that nets them another 2 to 4 Q1 wins, puts them at 7-11 in the Big 12, 18-13 heading into the Big 12 tournament. It is possible for Texas Tech to still make the dance. That would be crazy, Jim, after their start.
Why don't you hog all the takeaways, Kai? There's only like 10 games yesterday. You're going to take them all? How dare you?
2 takeaways.
No, I'm kidding. I'm wearing all black today because F Valentine's Day.
Nice.
I'm a single curmudgeon. Rah, rah, rah. No, that was just a coincidence. Love Baylor, Kai, and then just got to get a jab in at UNC. I don't really know why they don't try frequently on defense, but it certainly happens. And Matt, I tweeted it last night. It's just objectively funny that the preseason number 1 team in the country has no Q1 wins. 0. Yar. Gross.
We saw that coming, didn't we? No, we didn't see it coming to this level of degree.
Q1 wins. Yeah, we ranked them like 5th.
I know. We're group thinking. We knew better than that, though. Come on. We know better than that. That team's not that good. They had a month and a half of good play last year. Whoop-de-doo. All right. To tonight's action, we're going to kick it off with Big 12 basketball. Heading down to Stillwater. Jim, going to you first. The Pokes are hosting the Fighting Kansas Jayhawks. Oklahoma State has found a new life. Musa Cisse is back, but Jim, as you've alluded to multiple times, it's actually his front court mate, Caleb Boone, that's been the impetus to their recent rise. Even without Avery Anderson, they have been awesome. Do they keep it rolling tonight against the Jayhawks at home at Gallagher-Iba?
And the number kind of leans Kansas for me. We've talked a lot about on the show liking Kansas as the short road favorite. Pretty solid in that situation, not laying too many points. But Oklahoma State's defense kind of profiles well against Kansas' big collection of wings. They've got some guys that can switch on Jalen Wilson, Grady Dick, Kevin McCullough. It kind of makes sense to me just from a matchup perspective. And then, Matt, you mentioned Boone. Last 11 games, he's averaging 16 and 6 and 2 blocks, like basically becoming an all-conference big man. Not bad at all, considering we thought Cisse out would really sink them. They're hot right now, Kai. The one thing, Bill Self is covered 5 of the last 7 against Boynton. That's basically since he got swept. Was it like 5 years ago now? Like the first time anybody had swept Bill Self in Big 12 play, and he has not taken too kindly to it. But Oklahoma State covered earlier this year, so it's not like it's impossible for this version to do that. I'm torn. Did not bet this game, Kai.
Yeah, I'm so impressed by Oklahoma State. Despite losing Avery Anderson, they keep on winning. The win at Iowa State cements them in the tournament. It's been an impressive bounce back since being ineligible last season. I'm happy for Mike Boynton and everyone on that team. Matt, Kansas won game 1 by just 2 points at the Phog. I believe it came with a little controversy. I seem to recall there was some sort of ref
all those home
issue.
Close KU wins have some controversy. Yeah.
OK State was up 15 at the half. They were hot from 3. I think they have a chance here. They're the best defense in the Big 12 right now. They force turnovers. They're impossible to score against inside the arc. The question is, can they get enough offense? Is it going to be Bryce Thompson doing a little revenge tour here against his former team? We'll see. I do lean towards Oklahoma State. The spread 1.5, pretty short. Stayed away.
Yeah, I think the line's pretty sharp. Tough to fade Oklahoma State here, just given the form that they're in currently. Market seems to be leaning their way. Opened Kansas -2 down to 1.5 pretty much everywhere. Over's been bet up 2.5 points at most shops as well. I looked at Kansas recent. They've been playing a little bit faster, or have they just been getting caught up in track meets with their opponents? God, Oklahoma State overs sound like the worst thing ever, but maybe there's a little bit of a trend there. Some people clearly are sniffing that out. Jim, we stay there in Oklahoma, heading to Norman, where the Sooners will be hosting Kansas State. Another short Big 12 home spread here. Oklahoma opened at a pick. It's basically a pick, dancing back forth between -1, +1 both ways. Man, I'm just not a huge fan of either team from a value perspective. Just to be clear, I'm very in on this K-State team now, but the value, I don't see a ton there. Oklahoma basically has played one good game all year. Well, sorry, all calendar year, and that's the Alabama game. Did they get up for this one? Catch a potentially, I don't know, unsuspecting Wildcat team away from home?
Yeah, I think that's a little too harsh on Oklahoma. They had the Alabama one. Some decent efforts early January, like the Baylor 2-point loss at home, Kansas 4-point loss on the road. But the last 8 games, yeah, it's been really, really bleak for them. They've lost 10 of 13. Matchup wise, I kind of think this sets up decently for K-State. They're a team that really wants to play through 2 guys, namely Noel and Johnson. And Oklahoma's a very under ball screen team, which allows a lot of ISOs, Kai. And I think K-State's okay with that. You're going to let me ISO with Marquise Noel or Keontae Johnson against decent but not elite perimeter defenders for Oklahoma. And with the way the Sooners are reeling, I actually kind of like K-State here. I think they've got a little more to play for, and I like the matchup. So it would be Wildcats for me.
Yeah, and K-State losers of 3 of 4. They're not as strong on the road, but it's a good bounce back opportunity for them. After beating Baylor and Texas this season on the road in Big 12 play, Matt, they're 0-4 against the spread and straight up on the road in the Big 12. We know OU can beat good teams at home. KU did just destroy them, but Jim mentioned the Alabama effort. That's impressive. That's hard to ignore. Having said that, I do like K-State here. There's going to be some fireworks with Sherfield and Noel going back and forth. I don't think anybody can really guard Keontae Johnson. And Oklahoma's offense has been abysmal in Big 12 play. 93.3 points per 100 possessions in conference play. That's about 350th nationally had they done it all season. It has not been good. I like K-State here at -1 to bounce back, Matt.
I can't believe I do too. But I do. I mean, Oklahoma, yeah, dead last in the Big 12 in offense. Multiple people in the chat saying how it's basically Grant Sherfield and everybody else. I agree. I mean, Tanner Groves is good, but I think people are figuring out how to scheme against him. You could argue he has a pretty good matchup here against K-State's front line, which is not overly overwhelming, right? I think they can maybe, Moser can find some matchup edges there. But, this would be a typical spot where I'd say I like the spot. But now that they're 2-10 in the Big 12, it feels like things are slipping. I think it's more just of a fade the falling knife than like a buy low on the bounce back good spot here for the Sooners. So I cannot believe I'm saying this, but I like the Purple Kittens as well as the current price. We're leaving Big 12 country, running Big 10 country. Kai, going to you here up to Nittany Kitten country. A little revenge on the mind of the Fighting Illini as they got shellacked at home by Penn State way, way, way back when. This Illinois team is different. Used a big run to put away Rutgers last game. I think Rutgers went through like an 8-minute scoring drought there. I don't like fading the home teams in Big 10 this year. It's been a very non-profitable strategy, but I actually like both road teams in the Big 10 tonight, including the Fighting Illini here. What are you looking at? Yeah,
you mentioned Penn State won that first game. The teams were in different spots back then. That was during Illinois' kind of like swoon phase. Penn State was on fire. They were 12 for 24 from 3 in that game. That is their thing. They do tend to do that, and they could still do that tonight. And certainly if they're hot like they can get, they can give Illinois some issues. But Illinois has been way better than Penn State since that. Penn State's dropped 4 in a row. And I'd like to think that Illinois gets some revenge here. Again, the shooting thing at home worries me a bit. But I can see Illinois kind of taking them to the woodshed today. Jim.
Yep. I like Illinois. Best bet, -3 on the road. Illinois, I think they get a lot of revenge here. That first game was such a weird spot in terms of how Illinois was playing. Like you said, that was part of their weird lull. They got massacred by Mizzou. They barely beat Alabama A&M or played with them for like 35 minutes, got crushed at home by Penn State. Totally different team now. They've covered 9 of their last 10. Like, they are scorching. The only one they didn't cover was that Indiana home loss where the Hoosiers took care of them. And that's another team that's playing pretty well right now. And I think the physicality of the Big Ten is starting to wear down Penn State a little bit. Their leading rebounders are Lundy and Pickett. It's hard to do that against teams with actual front lines. Dane Danger can probably have his way here. And again, Luke Goody's maybe going to start contributing a little bit. He played 5 minutes last game, didn't do anything at all, but just adds another lineup option, Matt, for Underwood. And I think I think Illinois is going to be the motivated favorite here after the kind of embarrassment at home the first game. So best bet, Illinois -3.
Did you mention Melendez? He's back too tonight, which is huge for
There
Illinois.
you go. Yep.
Yeah, he has. I looked at that too. I noticed he missed last game. I looked at how his production has sort of tapered off because those guards have been so good for Illinois. I do think he matters, especially in this matchup. If you're going to need to throw a bigger body on Pickett, if he's going to post, or one of those wings. I love Illinois here. Other than the road angle, Big Ten, everything else sets up well. They're more, they're the well-rested team. And Penn State trying to go big with their starting lineups recently has kind of worked against them, I think. I think they should have just stayed in there zigging against the zag of Big Ten bigs, and now they're trying to play up with the Big Ten size, and it actually is backfiring. So, yeah, I like Illinois here quite a bit. I think they get that revenge. I think Underwood has these guys ready to roll. All right, staying in Big Ten country, Jim, we're going to your old stomping grounds, kind of buzz cut basketball. It's been ugly this year, and they are hosting the Wolverines, and the obvious headline is, will there be a Slapgate revenge situation? Maybe that's an exchange before or after. We don't really know how it's going to play out. All parties have put their swords away, except for Hunter Dickinson, who had some not so nice words for the Wisconsin basketball players. Place will be rocking, no question, Jim, but I don't care because Wisconsin's not very good. I like Michigan quite a bit. That's my simple take here. Another road Big Ten team lean. Scary, I know, but that's where I'm at.
I disagree. I think Michigan's not very good either right now. They might be a little bit deflated from that collapse against Indiana. That's a game they should have had, would have vaulted them up at least into tournament consideration. Definitely not in the field yet, but dropping that one has put them in really, really dire straits. Wisconsin's actually probably closer to the field right now, despite some of the poor play recently and just generally tough eye test evaluation on the Badgers. But they don't have no bad losses, Kai. The team is still relatively competent. I kind of like them at home. It feels a little short. These teams are a little closer to equals to me than Michigan, 2 points better on a neutral, which is what the line kind of indicates. So I would be Badgers here. I did not end up betting it though, Mr. McEwen.
It's a giant game for the tournament. Both teams basically square on the bubble or the outside looking in. Scott mentioned fielding the 68 does have Wisconsin in the first four. They have 6 Q1 wins. Their quality win count is huge, and that's what's keeping them afloat right now. But they did just lose to Nebraska. That's a bad loss, man. It might not be a Q3 quite yet, or it might be Q3, and I'm not sure. Either way, they need to win this game. So does Michigan. Michigan's been better in Big Ten play, and I do think they have a true edge with Hunter Dickinson. No offense to Corral or whoever guards him, but I think home court is a true factor here. It is a tough place to play, though the Badgers haven't been quite as stout this season. They dropped games to Northwestern, Illinois, and Michigan State at home. A couple of those games, they were definitely shorthanded without Tyler Wall. I'm staying away, Matt, but I lean towards the home team here. Again, both teams need this game like blood.
Just an update on the Big Ten home team. ATS splits 59-37 according to BetLabs, but the cover margin is just under a point. So it's not like they're covering by some monstrous margin. So my point is, don't be terrified to back the road teams here. Because I think, especially with Illinois and I guess in my opinion, Michigan, I think there's pretty good angles that negate that. You're right, Jim. I think all the points on the anti-Michigan angle are valid. I'm just probably backing the smartest kindergartner in this one, so to speak. So that's where I'm at. It's time for Chat Mob, part 1.
All right, right back to you, Matt. Mountain West, my old stomping grounds, Vegas. UNLV hosting San Jose State. They're laying 7 at home against the Fighting Timmy Miles. What do you got for us?
Who knows? I cannot figure out this Running Rebels team, man. They get down, 20 or something and a half over the weekend was really disappointing in a pretty good spot. They fought back and almost covered that, backdoored it, but still, I'm very uninspired. And San Jose State continues to shatter how good this team can possibly be. Every time we think they've hit their peak, they just keep going higher. They're almost in top 100 in KenPom right now. Laying a touchdown of the Rebs, I'd stay away.
All right, how about Loyola Chicago, a local squad for us? They're headed to UMass, who did get RJ Luis back last game, but they're still really tough to figure out. UMass fans are going insane trying to watch that team. Minutemen laying 4.5 at home.
Yeah, and still shorthanded without Diggins, without Fernandez. I stayed away. I thought about it because UMass is due for a sort of bounce back. Loyola's been terrible this season, but I also think Loyola's kind of trending towards more normal. They did compete with Richmond on the road. They've had better efforts in recent games. So even though my number kind of leaned -4.5 for UMass, I did stay away.
Noah Fernandez just had a baby, so maybe some boost there for.
Oh, is that why he's been missing time?
I think he's also hurt, but there's good vibes around having a child.
Wow.
Kai, back to you for SEC question. Vandy -5 at South Carolina. The Commodores actually playing pretty well lately. Won at Florida, beat Tennessee at home. Do they keep it rolling against the worst team in the league?
How about the Gamecocks? They just beat Ole Miss on the road. Maybe Ole Miss is the worst team in the league here.
True.
+5. I actually kind of lean towards South Carolina.
Wow.
We know GG Jackson's whole disciplinary thing that he went through. He came off the bench last game, I think, didn't score that much.
Better without him.
Didn't play that much. That's not true.
I lean towards straight.
I lean towards the Gamecocks here at +5.
They basically didn't play him last game. They were good. Josh Grayson solid. I like Gamecocks.
He played 15 minutes.
They played Ole Miss, who is
awful.
Dumpster fire.
Okay,
Ole Miss is awful.
Vandy's awesome. That's the better take. Vandy's been on fire. Liam Robbins dominates. Go, Jim. Sorry.
I think this is not about this game, but I think Ole Miss has quit, and Kermit's on his way out.
All
right, Matt. Southern Illinois -3.5 at Valpo. On point in the chat liked Valpo, but I think he said +4.5. I don't like Valpo really ever. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a team that can play weirdly good games because they do have the top end talent with Kobe King and Ben Krikke. Still, I don't trust this team. I'd take SIU, I think, if you had to bet a side here.
All right, Kai, I'm going to go to the big ACC game that did not make the outline. NC State on the road at Syracuse. I'll drop a fact here and see if you have any other info. NC State, 48th percentile scoring against zones, 88th percentile against man. They are definitely a better team versus man because of dribble penetration and post-ups with DJ Burns that are less of an option against zone. So I kind of don't love the matchup for NC State, Kai. I sort of lean towards Syracuse.
I don't love the matchup either, and DJ Burns has been immense for NC State. They're kind of running their offense through him. Hard to do, like you said, against Syracuse's zone. Their guards are really erratic still. I know NC State's been pretty good this year, but I still don't really trust Terquavian Smith. A lot of bad shots, most likely coming. Jarkel Joyner as well. I do lean towards Q's -1, but I didn't play it.
All right, Maddie Mack, whole lot of questions about that. We're going to holster Buffalo, Ohio. Save that for later. Someone asked about Miami, Ohio at Toledo. I laughed out loud at Ted Spencer's joke that Toledo's rival is playing defense. That is funny to me, even though all these teams are in the state of Ohio. Matt, any take on Miami O and Toledo?
Isn't Toledo on like an under streak quietly? I mean, they just went under by like 1 million points against Eastern Michigan. I like Toledo here. I think they smack Miami, Ohio. I still think the best team in the MAC.
I would agree. I don't think they're the best. I think Kent State's the best team in the MAC, but it's all right.
I'll take Toledo by a nose.
Right back to you, Matt. Buffalo and Ohio. Actually, no. We're holstering that. Sorry. What was the other question?
Best bet,
I might have missed a Mac question. Sorry. Ed's best bet is Akron. They're taking on Eastern Michigan. Matt, I sort of expected Imani Bates to once again be your best bet here, but it's not.
Thought about it.
Do you have a take on the game?
I don't get why. Don't fade Eastern Michigan. They've covered 6 in a row now. They've looked competitive in like every single game. I guess the Buffalo game, they sort of backdoored it a little bit, but like I just think they're actually trying and they're too talented to be getting priced like they are. So I'm also not all the way in on Akron either.
They've lost 2 in a row. So maybe buy low for Akron. I don't know. We'll see if they're locked in. 2 more, and then we will go back to the outline. Kai, Wyoming at New Mexico, late night here. Really, really tough handicap without knowing Jalen House's status on the New Mexico side. Do you have kind of a if he's in, if he's out take?
I kind of lean towards New Mexico either way, to be honest. Wyoming on the road. Don't trust this team whatsoever. They're banged up, of course. They're shorthanded.
Like 7 players. Yep.
Yeah, lean towards New Mexico, but didn't play it. Nothing strong.
Yeah, I think if House is out, I really like the under, but that is very, very dependent on his status. He likes to push the tempo. Wyoming should play slow because they have no bodies left. Matt, last one from Yuli. Butler at Nova. Butler has been horrific against quality competition. Nova might be trending up with Justin Moore. Nova laying 9.5. What do you think?
Yeah, I still don't like laying that many points with Nova until I see like the fully developed version of Nova. And Butler's been feisty lately, right? I mean, they got Bates back. I know they're not very good. Not going to go all the way there, but with Manny Bates back in the lineup, without Chuck Harris, what's his status today?
He's playing. He's back.
That's bad.
Yeah. It's bad. That's a net negative. I was cautious on the ball. Yeah. Still, Butler's trying, and they actually can defend and score at the paint with Bates. Bates is everything. Like, they're awful without Bates, and they're occasionally competitive with Bates.
Yeah, subtraction by addition with Harris.
And Harris,
Ali's actually playing a lot better lately, too. All right, back to the outline. Matthew, I'll continue gathering chat mom questions.
We're staying in Big East country. Kai, going to you here. Providence, the arena formerly known as the Dunkin' Donuts Center, is where Creighton will come to town, and the Blue Jays are a fireball at the moment. I had the stats. I'm sure Jim has them too. Jim, please check me. I have Ed Cooley at 59-38 as a dog since 2016. Also have the Friars at 16-8 as a dog at home. Not often you catch Providence as a short home dog. At this point, is it really privy to call them a home dog at +1? But Kai, that's where they're at. What are you looking at?
It's such a Providence game. You mentioned Cooley as a dog. Cooley as a home dog, avenging an earlier loss to Creighton, in which they didn't have Jared Bynum in that game. Obviously, a major factor. Creighton kind of dominated that game, won by 6. Providence came back. They're up by 16.
Backdoor by road dog Providence there. Yep.
Creighton's won 8 in a row. They are absolutely rolling, but I think this is a get-right game for Providence after the St. John's loss. Both teams are still in play for the 1 seed in the Big East tournament. Creighton does match up pretty well. They do compete on the glass. They don't really foul. But I like the home dog Friars here. +1, best bet, Providence. Jim.
Love it, Kai. Yeah, Matt, you mentioned some of the data. Cooley's 26-16 against the spread as a home dog at Providence. Covered 6 of the last 7. That's 62%. And surprising fact here, 15-7 against the spread against McDermott. 69%, covering by almost 3 points a game. Seems like that physicality in the paint, they can kind of match that. And I mean, in the past, this is, Creighton's been more offense and defense optional. But even with this current version, I think Providence can kind of match and exceed what Creighton offers. Creighton's really, really running high on their value right now. And man, we know that home court can be as good as any in the country, the dunk / the amp. I like Providence as well. Despite how Creighton's playing, I like Providence.
I kind of lean Creighton. I'm so disrespectful to Cooley and that home court there, but I just think Creighton's really good. That's all I have. We're staying in Big East country. Kai, coming back to the Mecca, Chicago, Chicago's Big East team. DePaul is hosting St. John's. 2 Big East cellar dwellers, 2 teams that are as Jekyll and Hyde as you'll find. I kind of think DePaul competes here and wins this game. It's a short spread, basically a pick 'em here. 158 is the total, been better from 156. I can certainly see a track meet of insane helter-skelter fashion. What do you make of this matchup?
Game 1 wasn't close. St. John's won by 19. It was at their place, and St. John's was fully healthy. They had Mathis, they had Curbelo. DePaul didn't have an eye. Different circumstances, I suppose, but St. John's killed them. We have seen DePaul beat better teams at home this season. They beat Villanova and Xavier somehow, but and I don't trust this Johnny's team. It seems like Mike Anderson is gone after this season. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting here, but it is DePaul, and it's a really short line. So I guess I lean towards St. John's here, Jim, against my Big East Chicago team. I think Joel Soriano is going to have a field day tonight against DePaul.
Yeah, I think he had an awesome start to the first game. I remember watching that, and he was just feasting in the lane. Mm-hmm. There's the interesting David Jones angle where he's coming home, but it's also his old teammates that probably have a little bit of revenge on the mind against him too. Like, hey, you left us, you went to St. John's, and you're not even succeeding there. St. John's, they're coming off the big win against Providence. I would sense more of a dip in effort in this one. And I have to, of course, mention my guy, Caleb Murphy, who continues to be horrific. He is shooting 30% from 2-point range since returning, has not had an offensive rating over 100 yet in 7 games. He is truly subtraction by addition for DePaul. That makes me concerned for them. That's probably going to keep me off the Blue Demons here. So no bet for me, Matt, but lean towards DePaul.
Yeah, man, if you bet this game, good luck to you. That's all I'll say. Let's move on here. A game that's near and dear to both of your hearts. The Missouri Tigers are in action after that insane and improbable, I guess at this point, believable, given how that season's transpired, win at Tennessee at Rocky Top. Now they go on the road to another renowned environment there, the Jungle at War Eagle. Mr. McKeon, money coming in on Auburn. I don't like it. I don't care that Auburn's at home. I don't care that's a bad spot for Mizzou. Everything else to me screams Mizzou. I just think it's too many points.
Oh, it's a terrible spot for Mizzou. It's like the worst spot imaginable. Yeah, off that emotional buzzer beater win at Tennessee, which was just incredible. We're not used to that as Mizzou fans. And then now you're traveling to Auburn's home floor. Auburn's off an Alabama loss. They've lost 3 in a row. It feels very much like you're like a bounce back smash, frankly. Auburn's going to smoke them on the glass. Every team does. Mizzou's allowing 39% offensive rebounding rate in conference play. That's a lot. They have no answer for Janai Broom on that end on the glass. Really no answer for Cardwell either, his backup. I do think Mizzou will get to the line. And of course, if they're hot, kind of like Penn State, they have a chance here. They're a very poised ball handling team. They don't make a lot of mistakes. That's very key against Auburn. 6.5 number wise, Jim, just ignoring spot. I do lean towards Mizzou. It's a little bit high, but the spot, the home floor scares me away.
Yeah, really, really scares me. And in Mizzou, I would maybe, if you're going to bet them, I would lean towards first half. They're really showing some issues in the second half right now because they don't have a lot of depth. Without Mosley, without Gamillion, and hey, you tell me if Mosley's going to be traveling and playing in this game. I have no idea.
No idea.
Absolutely. Yep. No one does. So with that, the way they like to play pressure, especially against a team like Auburn's going to beat them up in the glass, they need to generate turnovers. And we saw it against Tennessee when they kind of ran out of steam on that defensive end for forcing those turnovers. You can really, really punish them. I feel like Auburn can do that in the second half. Feels like kind of a cascade of a run with the crowd getting behind Johnson and Green. I have some serious concern for my Tigers here, Matthew, and I'm not going to think any less of them if it goes poorly. And this is, I think, exactly what I said about the at Arkansas game way early in the year when they played really well in the first half and kind of collapsed in the second half. So that's kind of how I see this one going.
Any take on the total here, guys? It feels like the smarts, the sharps have been betting unders Mizzou consistently. Yeah. I don't really understand why. I feel like there's like a pace angle there. But again, yeah, the second half explosion that Mizzou just plays completely with unabashed confidence, and I don't understand why people bet the under here. I would take the over. I know Auburn's an under team in how they play and dominate the rim, and they're not as fast to transition. I'd take over 151 in a second.
I don't think it's a pace angle, Matt. I think it's a regression angle. I think people think Mizzou's shooting over their heads.
The splits are so
teams insane. Are shooting too good against them. It's frankly a shot quality angle, Matthew, but they're wrong. Mizzou shoots this well, and they are that poor on defense. Like
I think they are this poor on defense, especially if they have if they're in a not as close game, right? I think if they're up in any game, it's a turnstile to the rim. You guys have seen it too. So
Mizzou's tempo is the second highest in the SEC. They play fast. They are in transition all the time.
Auburn's also sneaky been an over team. 6 of the last 9 have gone over.
Really?
They're playing pretty fast. I also think this could be a free throw fest for Auburn after watching Mizzou foul like crazy against Tennessee. Last game, Auburn likes to get to the line. That is a tough angle for under because of how many free points you give up.
I guess I'm just thinking of the Tennessee game and the Alabama game. You're right. Every other game recently has gone over, Jim. Good point. The data never lies. All right, we continue on. Last game here in the SEC. Not sure why I threw this one on the outline, I'll be honest, but a little love to Georgia and LSU. Kai, Georgia laying 4.5 is kind of a wild concept to me. But against this LSU team, I certainly understand it. I lean toward the Fighting Mike Whites here, the Bulldogs at home in Athens. What's your angle?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Keep fading LSU. They're 7-17 on the year against the spread, 4th worst in the country. They're 1-10 against the spread in the last 11, and they're 1-4 against the spread on the road. They're just not a very good team this year, and they're playing below expectations, and the market really can't catch up with it. Georgia got Terry Roberts back. It's huge, right? They beat Kentucky with him. Makes a huge difference. Georgia's obviously a way more competent team at home as well. You just saw the Kentucky game. I like Georgia here minus 4.5, Jim.
I think there's a little part of the spot that could trend towards LSU because Georgia is coming off that big win. LSU, I thought maybe had quit when they got down 41-14 against Texas A&M, but they got it all the way back to 8 in the final 5 minutes. That was impressive that they didn't fully roll over. But with no Trey Hannibal, who I think matters a lot, one of their actual penetrators, they don't have any other guys that can win off the bounce and get into the lane. That offense is really, really impotent. And Georgia, this feels a little bit short for how bad LSU's been playing. So I do lean towards Georgia as well.
I guess part of the cover streak, the anti-cover streak, I guess you want to call it, against LSU is they have been close to covering games, Jim. You mentioned that A&M as an example. They haven't been completely helpless in all these games, but I also think that is a reason why they are still value as a fade because they were really never competitive until A&M kind of let their foot off the gas in that last game. We've seen that in a couple other games. So
it's like Georgetown last year where they kept getting smacked and then would sneak back into it. And so the value stayed on the fade side.
Right. So yeah, if you're just relying on just the analytic rankings, they don't actually fall. But if you're doing your own numbers, maybe you caught that earlier. That concludes our outline. Let's go back to Chat Mob, part 2.
Back to you, Maddie Mac. Question from Joey. Northern Illinois at Ball State. All State laying 11, but I know you've been big into your NIU
Yeah.
Huskies lately.
Spilled the beans in the chat. I really like this NIU team. I think they cover this one tonight. I think it's close. They got walloped by Ball State at home earlier. I worry about a complete bloodbath up front. NIU's not very big. They're playing with a lot more guards and pace and space, but they can score it. Those two JUCO guards, Nutter and Coy, can really shoot and score. Just got to try to find a way to contain Sparks at the rim, and I think they keep it close.
Yeah, their shooting numbers lately have been through the roof. They're making everything. Kai, in the Big Ten, Rutgers is back home, laying 14 to Nebraska. Tough recent schedule for Rutgers, coming off losing Mowat Mag. Now do they get right at home here against Nebraska, who's been really feisty at Pinnacle Bank at home, but not as effective on the road?
Not a good road team. Tough place to play. Good bounce spots back here, or spot here. But laying 14 sounds pretty high for Rutgers. I stayed away, supposedly leaning towards the rack.
The Mag injury is going to hurt.
Good big favorite. Yes, yeah, agreed, Matt.
No Mag. Yeah, he hurts them in general for sure. Yes.
All right, Kai, right back to you because we're saving a special one for Matthias. Air Force at Utah State. Utah State laying 12.5. I believe the first game was a 12-point win for Utah State. Frustrating for you and I, who were both backing Air Force in that game. But Utah State, off a couple of losses back home, seems like an okay spot for them. Kai, to you.
Who? Sorry, I missed it.
Kai, to you. Utah State, Air Force.
Utah State, Air Force. No idea. Lean towards
Aggies.
Utah State at the spectrum.
Aggies.
No.
I like Utah State too. I think Air Force had that big effort against shorthanded New Mexico. Now they go on the road. I like Utah State. Matthew, you get your Blue Devils. You try to keep them off the outline. You don't want to talk about how dire situation is for them. Duke minus 12 against Notre Dame, one of the least athletic teams in a power conference. Does Duke overwhelm them?
Well, Filipowski is out, confirmed, right? Is that all the way confirmed?
I don't think he's 100% out. It's he had an MRI. I haven't heard the results yet.
Money coming on Notre Dame seemed to maybe indicate that they think he will be out. But as you mentioned him, Dreek Whitehead last game, I think gives Duke at least a puncher's chance to maybe find some rhythm on offense. But I don't like laying Duke this many points. Shire's not playing that fast. It's not a team that's going to like have a blowout or play well as a larger favorite. And maybe you wonder if there's like, Mike Bray, kind of part of the old Duke guard. Is there kind of that Army angle where Duke doesn't blow away one of their old Brotherhood members?
Yeah. Hey, how about Mike Bray? Not done. He's
Mike Bray's not done.
Notre Dame after this year, but he's big in the conversation for Georgetown. Kai, how about that?
Wow, 5-19. Notre Dame against the spread.
Pretty bad.
There you go.
Pretty bad. All right, I believe that is it. Chat, if I miss something, holler. But I think that's everything. Let's go to best bets. Kai, to you.
My best bet reminder was Providence +1, taking them at the dunk. I'm calling it the dunk against Creighton in a major spot. Ed Cooley, short dog. Go get him.
Matthias.
That is my turn. I was deliberating between first half and full game. So if I were you, I would take the opposite of what I'm going to say, or just take both. You hedge your bets here. I like the Bobcats at Ohio, hosting Buffalo today. Total is 161 to give you an indication what kind of game this will be. Neither team plays a ton of defense. Buffalo torched Ohio and transitioned the first game. I watched a little bit of that. I think Jeff Bowles is too good of a coach to let that happen again. And Ohio is just a better, more reliable team. If you can just make Buffalo play in the half court, I don't think they're that good, right? They supplement on the glass. They rely on transition. Just hyper focus on that, Jeff. And I think you guys get an easy win tonight. So taking Ohio -4.5, full game. BetRivers. Jim?
Full game. That a boy. A reminder on mine. I went with Illinois -3 on the road. Just honestly think it's a really good spot for them. It's a little of the yesterday what we said with Monmouth NCAA, where it's my gut is against my number, which is likely a little bit stale because Illinois, like I said, covered 9 of 10. They were playing fantastic of late. I think they get a little revenge there against Penn State, maul them in the paint. Believe that is it, fellas. Matthew, sign us off.
How about one last take at the buzzer for our guy E, Pitt versus Boston College. Kai, give us something there. Anything. Bueller.
Lean towards Pitt.
Eyes. Ooh,
it's the best ATS team in the country. They're rolling.
The matchup is scary because BC's defense is really compact, and Pitt just fires threes and makes them all. So
we got you. Hey, thanks for coming by, everyone. We are back tomorrow, same time as usual. That'll be 12 Central, 1 Eastern, 10 Pacific. Until that time, good luck. And before you go anywhere, smash the like button. We'll pause right now for 2 seconds and do it.
Here we go. Good.
And that's it. Thank you.